Halloween, baby! So let's talk a little horror. Welcome to the newest episode of SDW.
Super Dario World!
It's a me,
Dario!
Woohoo! Let's go!
Alright, so first and foremost, the most important thing, I have a poll up on my Instagram. You can find it at Dario the Show. It's a very important question. The question is, who do you prefer? Princess Leia Gold Bikini or Padme Amidala in Geonosis? You know, the white suit with the rip? Yeah. Go. Very important question. Very serious debate going on. So go on my Instagram and vote if you have an opinion. If not, then, you know, whatever, man. It's like your opinion, bruh. Anyway, so I need to get that out of the way. Also, big announcement. Now you can find the podcast not only on SoundCloud, not only on YouTube, not only on iTunes. You can also find it on Podcast Addict, Spotify, CastBox, and now officially on Google Podcasts. So you can find Super Dario World Podcast right there. You can also find Super Dario World en Español there. I'm everywhere, baby. Also, I'm doing Twitch. I'm doing Mixer. I'm still not sure which day it's going to be which. Still figuring that one out. It's really weird, especially when you have people in the house. You're like, oh man, I really want to do this thing right now. But at the same time, it's like it's going to be rude just to ignore everybody or just to be talking here to nobody on the screen while there's actual humans. It's weird. Figuring it out. But I will make it happen. Also, more stuff. Again, aggressive expansion. Now it's time for me to start doing social media stuff. So I just opened an official Instagram for Super Dario World. So the official Instagram, I'm still not finished with it, but if you want to add it already, I'm gonna load updates on everything there. I opened an Instagram and a Facebook fan page. So Facebook, you can find it Super Dario World. Pretty simple. On Instagram, some a-hole already beat me to it, so I had to do Super Dario World. So yeah, screw that guy. But it's up there. Like I said, I still got to finagle with it. I haven't even written the bio because writing a bio is like the worst thing ever. I hate doing it. It's like, you want to talk about yourself? Not really. I mean, how do you reduce your entire life into a single sentence? It's really, really weird. Anyway, so those are there. You can find them. But let's get into what I want to talk about today. Well, I love Halloween. It sucks that as you get older, you don't get to do as much stuff for Halloween until you have kids, and then you can actually enjoy Halloween as a kid again. But it's on a Thursday. I work tomorrow really early, so I'm not going to be able to go out and party. Maybe not. I have to work also. So maybe after work, maybe I'll find some stuff. If not, this is going to be a great party week. I love Halloween, man. Love dressing up. Love cosplaying. Love a whole bunch of stuff. I love all the party that comes with it. I love that people let a little bit looser. So I'm more of the party. Halloween might be my favorite holiday. I'm not kidding. You get candy. You get people dressing slutty. You get people letting loose and wanting to party. It's great. It's great. Tell me one negative thing about it. None. You can't. Because there isn't any. Anyway, so yeah. Let's talk a little bit, since it's Halloween, since it's the season, let's talk a little bit about horror movies. So, I found this list of, supposedly, according to Games Radar, the 30 best horror movies of all time. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I'm just going to go through the top 10. And I'm going to mention a few that are not here that I consider to be important for me. Like the ones that have scared me the most. Now, I'm not the biggest horror guy. There's some people who just live for watching horror and gory movies and all that stuff. That's not me. But I do enjoy watching a good disturbing movie. I think it's mostly thrillers do that more, but and I don't mean like gory disturbing. It's something that you're seeing it and your brain is just like, oh, what am I seeing? I don't understand it. It hurts. Like, for example, recently I saw this movie. It's called Raw. It's a French movie, but it's really good. It doesn't matter that it's in French, and it's basically a girl who's studying to be a vet and basically discovers that she might be a cannibal, or she starts getting a craving for flesh and not just, the animal kind. It's a really, really disturbing movie. It's super well made, and the horror of it comes from all the social aspects. Because this is a very, very young girl in college, and it's like your social life, your social life is very, very important to you at that point. And cannibalism kind of frowned upon. So I really, really enjoyed that movie. It eked me out. It's one of those movies that as soon as I saw it, like, I gotta buy this. I saw it on Netflix. And like, no, I need to own this physically. It's really good. I highly recommend it. Another movie that I saw recently, it's The Witch. Now, this one is in Old English. They want to keep it authentic. It's about a family in the 1630s New England that is torn apart by the forces of witchcraft, black magic, and possession. It's a really well-made movie. It's very creepy. I don't know if I want to get too deep into it because, let's just say, really well-made, really enjoyed it. And it gives you, like, a dirty feeling. Like, it's one of those movies, to me, a good horror movie stays with you, right? Like, this one, you see it, and as soon as, and when you're done seeing it, you feel dirty. Like, oh, I guess I got touched by something that was not right. So, that one does that for me. So I really enjoyed that. If we're going all the way back in the day, my parents were actually, they actually, were good parents, and they didn't let me watch that many horror movies. So I think the first horror movie that I saw that really got to me, there's one that's on the list that was among the first, but the first one that really, really got me that I saw, I'm pretty sure, I think it was the Blair Witch Project. Oh God, that one was a moment. It was a moment. I also saw the It movie, and that really scared me. I remember I didn't want to shower for a few days. I was like, I'm not going in there. I'm not going in there. But it doesn't count as a movie. Technically, it's not. It's a miniseries, so it doesn't really count. But yeah, the Blair Witch Project, especially because I thought it was real. At that point, I didn't really understand things or how the film industry worked. So that one really got me. It really, really creeped the hell out of me. So those would be mine. And I only mentioned them. Okay, I could mention others, but I only mentioned those because they're not on the list. But all right, getting that out of the way. By the way, horror, super interesting genre because a lot of the best filmmakers actually start off in horror. There's a lot of people whose careers have started in horror. Or, scary movies in general. And it's because they're easy to make. Well, not easy to make. They're cheap to make. And there's a big difference. But, yeah. So, there's some pretty big names. I remember, I think Peter Jackson started off with gore. Leonardo DiCaprio started off in Gremlins. I think Jennifer Aniston was there, too. So, there's a long, storied history in horror. But I digress. Let me just get into this list before I make this thing end up being a 30-minute video. So I'm going to try to go relatively quickly here. So, number 10 on the list of the best horror movies of all time, we have Danny Boyle's 28 Days Later. Now, 28 Days Later is a great movie. I think they stole a little bit from The Walking Dead. The whole... I'm not sure which one came out first. Either the comic book of The Walking Dead, I think that one came out first. But the whole waking up in a hospital and the whole world went to hell... Yeah, that would really suck. Imagine now being alone on an island with zombies that run. Freaking runners, man. They are the most terrifying. The runner zombies were a game changer. I'm not sure if it was Dawn of the Dead who did it first or 28 Days Later, but 28 Days Later is definitely a better movie. So the soundtrack is amazing, and unfortunately, the sequel was not as good. The sequel has an amazing opening sequence, and the sequel is 28 Weeks Later. The opening sequence is great. The dude running, abandoning his family, jumping out of the house, kind of injuring his legs, running through the fields as there's a bunch of zombies coming downhill at him. He's just like, ah! It's great. It's great. And the movie kind of goes downhill from there. But it's a good start. It's a good start. So, in general, 28 Days Later, great movie. Highly recommended. Worthy of the top 10? You see, I don't think Zombieland counts as a horror movie, so yeah, sure. I think it is the best zombie movie out there. Or at least the best made. It's really enjoyable. Really, really, really enjoyable. It's scary, too, and it's really sad. So, I'll give it to him. Yeah, top 10. Now, number 9, we have classic, 90s classic, Scream. Now, Scream, again, is one of those movies that I saw when I was probably way too young to see it, and it traumatized me. So I know it's a cheesy movie. I know it's got a whole bunch of cheesy lines and all that stuff, and it's a movie that's kind of not blowing itself, but it's kind of referring. It's referring to itself because it's a horror movie obsessed killer in a horror movie. It's weird. I don't know exactly. It's self-referential. That's how you explain it. It's a self-referential movie. It's kind of cheesy. The franchise in general is kind of cheesy, but it does scare you in a point because it did something that was disturbing. At least it was very disturbing to me to see, first off, what happened to Drew Barrymore. That one got me. That Drew Barrymore thing got me. Again, started off with a bang. But it's the whole that the monsters are actual people, you know? It's one of those things that the call's coming from inside the house. Or, no, that's not it. Yeah, the call's coming from inside the house. They're using technology there. They're using quips or props from other stuff. I don't know. I'm not exactly explaining it right. I know I'm not explaining it right, but it created the iconic mask. It created its own subgenre per se. I don't know. It really got to me, and I think it was very important because people remember Scream. People remember. I mean, Scary Movie is basically Scream, and it's a parody because they knew how big it was and how important it was. So, I honestly think that the scariest thing about it is probably how freely the killer just goes out about his business and the whole whodunit. I think that's it. I nailed it. It's the whole whodunit aspect because it's a killer that's still actively out there and you're not exactly sure who it is, but you know he's close by and you can't really trust anybody. So I think that's the thing that made this movie special. It's really good. Next, we have number 8. We have Alien, which should be higher. Now, there's actually a fun story of Alien, of the way that they pitched this movie. And they said basically after the success of Jaws, the moment that Ridley Scott pitched this movie, he said, it's like Jaws, but in space. And everybody was just like throwing money at him like, yes, I want to make this movie. I want to be a part of this movie. And it's so well made. Ellen Ripley it's a film icon. The xenomorph is probably the most horrifying monster in all of cinema. Or at least it's the one that scares me the most. I mean, it's this thing that, first off, it can kill you pretty much with any part of its body. And if you hurt it, it sprays acid on you. Like, its blood is acidic. That's just cheating, all right? That thing's not fair. It's a creature of nightmares, claws, super long tail, a mouth within its mouth, and also acid blood. It's cheating. It's not fair. So it's horrifying. It's in space, which is innately scary, innately terrifying, and it holds up so well. It's one of the best sci-fi movies of all time for a reason, and it's because it's aged extremely, extremely well. Also, there's a bunch of fun stories about the set. Like, for example, the moment when the xenomorph first comes out, like, the actors didn't know what was going to happen. So the reactions are actually natural. Nobody told them that there was going to be that thing coming out of the guy's chest. So when it happens, everybody's like, oh my God. It's great. And, okay, so yeah. Now, I understand why they did this, but let's just say I also think that this one should be lower. So, if Jaws in space is number 8, then number 7 has to be the big bad himself, Jaws. Jaws is another classic movie. The only thing that kind of that kind of makes this movie a little bit less scary is that they try to make it too realistic, and the shark doesn't make any sounds. So to me, I don't know. I guess I like sharks. I'm not really scared of sharks. The whole being in the ocean thing does creep me out a little because you can't see anything. But if there's a shark nearby, I don't really freak out. I mean, I probably would if I saw that bastard. So, but I know they're not real. Anyway, the point is, sharks don't make any noise. So when they used the mechanical shark, the shark did not make any noise. So if they would have added something like a or anything like some kind of grunt or whatever, I think it would have made it scarier, less realistic, but scarier. Now you could argue, does Jaws really need to be scarier? Yes, I think yes. There's always room for being more scared, especially in a movie that's in broad frickin' daylight. The monster is in broad frickin' daylight, and it still scares the crap out of you because you can't see it. Anyway, moving on. Number 6, we have Halloween, the original Halloween. Great movie. This one started a lot of things. It started Jamie Lee Curtis is the original final girl. She's not the best one, but she's the original. There's this whole thing about being a mix of claustrophobia with also being exposed in a big space and sometimes bringing those things together. The movie is really well made. Classic movie villain, Mike Myers. The mask was genius. For those of you who don't know, that the mask from the Michael Myers use is actually a William Shatner mask. It's a Star Trek mask painted white. William Shatner. So Captain Kirk. It's great. Honestly, it's a great movie. I understand why it's number 6. I totally respect it. Number 5, I also have an issue with it. Number 5, it's way, way too low for this movie. The Exorcist. Now, if you guys remember what I just said about The Witch, how it leaves you feeling dirty, this is the epitome of a movie that leaves you feeling dirty, disturbed. You actually feel like you need to go to church after watching this thing. It's just, the movie feels evil. It's not necessarily what you see. It is what you see on screen. It's a combination of everything you see on screen. There's a whole bunch of horror stories from the production of it. There's a whole bunch of curses that supposedly came from it. But the biggest thing is that once the movie is done, you feel dirty. Your soul feels dirty. So to me, that should make it the most disturbing, the most disturbing movie of all time, which is horrifying. So, also, by the way, I know that this is completely out of the blue. Train to Busan. It's a Korean film about zombies. I just remembered it. I just popped into my head, and I should have mentioned it when I was talking about 28 Days Later. Highly recommend it. It's really good. It's a really great zombie movie. It's clever. It's very, very clever. You see people dealing with zombies in a way that you've never really seen it before. It's a very clever film. It's really well made. If you don't mind movies with subtitles, I highly recommend it. Anyway, moving on. So yeah, The Exorcist. So far, The Exorcist, Jaws, and Alien should have been higher. For me, they would have gone higher. And now, here's where we come into a little bit of a gray territory. The movie is called Hereditary. It just came out in 2018. It's the newest movie on this list. The movie is great. It's a great movie. Ari Aster's first movie. It's extremely well made. Extremely, extremely well made. It's, again, very, very, very disturbing film. Great horror film. But I don't think it's had anywhere near the impact that any of the other movies in this list has had. In fact, I'm willing to bet that unless you're a big movie guy, you've never even heard of this movie. As great as it is, it didn't have that big of an impact. So it took a lot from other movies, and it's very disturbing, very well made. If you want to see a good horror movie, highly recommend it. But it's lacking that. It's lacking, let's say, transcendence so far. So highly recommended. Great movie. Very scary, very disturbing. I don't know why it wasn't a hit, honestly. So to me, that's actually a big deal. It should at least, it should have something that transcends, that stands the test of time, that ages well and all that stuff. And I don't know, so far, even though it's really well made, it just hasn't happened for this one. Anyway, moving on. Number 3, and this is where I understand it, but I disagree. We have The Thing from 1982, which is the Kurt Russell version. Great movie. Very scary. The premise is extraordinary. You are in Antarctica, which is already scary enough. Being in Antarctica, getting stuck out there where the environment can kill you and anything, very scary. And you're stuck there with a alien type maybe thing that shapeshifts and wants to kill you. It's a virus, like a shape-shifting alien virus. It's horrible. And again, the whole whodunit type of thing kind of comes into play here, except that it's not exactly a whodunit. Is what is it? A who is it? Or who can I trust? Or who has been taken over? Shapeshifters are terrifying. Terrifying. And this movie, the practical effects, the everything. It's again really disturbing. It really creeps you out. But I don't think it's better than The Exorcist. Do not. No, not even close. Not even close. You can have the conversation, but we know how that conversation is gonna end. It's just good, really good. Not as good as The Exorcist, at least in my humble opinion. And here we go for another one that, in my humble opinion, again, not good. Because I think we already passed the best one. But anyway, continue. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That's number 2, the 1974 version. Now, this is a movie that was extremely, extremely gory. The original one was extremely disturbing. It's really, really fun to watch. Really, really disturbing. Makes you scared about going to Texas by yourself and just wandering the whole, big plains and all that stuff. But it's, I don't know. Again, it just lacks that whole, there's a reason why people, when you say the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a lot of people think of the sequel more than they think of the original. In fact, some people were shocked when they heard that there was even an original. Some movies you just can't remake. That's why nobody's tried to remake The Exorcist. Yet this one they did. I don't know. It scared me. I'll give it to it. It scared me. It disturbed me, but not on the same level. That's the problem. We went by putting The Exorcist as number 5. It just, the things afterwards, like, oh yeah, okay, whatever. Sure, it was scary, but yeah. It's yeah, that was a big mistake on this list. Big mistake. And finally, number 1, we have The Shining. Now, this is Stanley Kubrick's. A lot of people argue this might be his best movie. Personally, my favorite Stanley Kubrick movie is Eyes Wide Shut. I love that movie. I think it's underrated. A lot of people hate that movie, so I don't know. I guess I don't understand Stanley Kubrick. I'm not a big fan of Stanley Kubrick, okay? Stanley Kubrick, I have an issue with him. And that's that he will show you something, and he'll show you, 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 and just at the point where your brain is like, change the freaking shot already, that's when he changed it. Like a second before you're like, you're about to start screaming like in your head, he does it. And so there's a genius in that. I get it. There's a cleverness in it. It just annoys the living hell out of me. And therefore, I'm not the biggest fan. Because when I watch a movie, I don't like feeling that stress. I don't enjoy it. It's not an enjoyable situation for me. Anyway, there's a bunch of classic moments from The Shining. I'm really excited to see Dr. Sleep. It looks really good. It's probably one of the greatest ad-lib scenes of all time. That means that it was made up on the scene, on the spot. Like Jack Nicholson thought of the "Here's Johnny" on the spot. So very clever. Ooh, I know. We just passed another one in Jaws. The "We're gonna need a bigger boat" was also made up by the actor on the spot. So, which one's better? I think Here's Johnny's more iconic. Honestly, I think it's more iconic. It's a very disturbing film as well. It's very creepy. It has, again, a lot of iconic moments, and I get it. The whole twins in the hallway, I get it. But still not as disturbing as The Exorcist. So overall, I agree with most of the movies on this thing. I just would have switched them around a bit. I would have switched them around a bit, but that's just personal preference. I see the person's arguments here. I just disagree. Anyway, I think that's enough for today. Hopefully you go out, you enjoy your little Halloween, get some candy, maybe go out and party, do a little shot, do a little candy shot. I'm gonna be working, so I don't know how much I'm gonna be able to enjoy it, but hopefully I will. Maybe I won't be able to sneak in a scary movie or something, so I don't know. But anyway, hope you have fun. Again, check out my Instagram at Dario the Show. I put up a very important poll there. Princess Leia Gold Bikini or Padme and Geonosis? Which one do you prefer? As always, thank you for listening, and I'll see you again tomorrow.